I keep it going for Molly. Come on stage now. Come on, Nashville.
You're real close to the mic. Come closer. Come close.
Thank you. Yeah.
There you go. Have fun.
I do not want to follow her, but I'm grateful. So I come from this crazy, huge, dynamic, diverse family in Detroit. And so my parents got married, and they waited a little while to have kids, as, you know, was the right thing to do. They had a hard time, faced a few bumps, so they decided, you know, we want to have kids, so we're going to adopt. So they adopt my brother Dave locally, and it goes really well. They have this great experience, and a little while later, they have this surprise. They get pregnant with my sister. And they're like, oh, this is awesome. We didn't think this would ever happen. And it did, and so, okay. So they have 2 kids, boy, girl, perfect, right? Well, you know what? We want one more kid. And we really like this whole adoption thing. And as someone who has given birth to 3 very large, 9-pound, 90th percentile head circumference boys, I can tell you, I so get where my mother was coming from. So she and my dad are like, let's go international this time. And so they adopt from Korea, South Side, don't worry. My brother, who is so adorable, oh my gosh, he loves when I describe him that way. He's a professor. And so this is good. There's 3. My dad's like, we're on budget. We have 3, we have a full house, you know, this is great. And my mom is more, she's more. My mom is open and cheerful and a super duper hippie. And she answers the phone in the 70s, late 70s, I'm not that old. Hello, I'm expecting good news. And she literally is. When I'm on the phone, I am expecting horrible news because for the Lord, I'm on the phone. But I'm like, telemarketers loved her so much. I think they were like, had her on speed dial. So she answers the phone, hello, I'm expecting good news. And on the other end this day, there's a social worker who says, you know what? I think I've got some good news for you. We have this young mom who is expecting this baby, and we thought about you and Dave to adopt this baby. My mom's like, well, I thought this worked the other way, like people seek you out to get babies. Well, so the mom's white, and the dad is African-American, and we've had a hard time placing this, you know, multiracial baby. And please know, this was the 70s. It was not as socially acceptable. In fact, adoption kind of had a cloud over it. People wouldn't tell their kids who were adopted they were adopted. They wouldn't tell their families. It was a whole different world than it is now. So my mom and dad are like, sure, that sounds good. So they start going around Detroit to their friends, and they meet with, you know, African-American pastors and churches, and they want to raise this strong, beautiful black woman who would be in touch and have the support she needed. Okay, so I'm born. And my parents go, there's like a holding period where you're in the foster care system while the legal stuff is drawn out. It's a cold November day, and they go and they look in this bassinet to meet me for the first time. And my mom and dad are like, so she's like extra white. And they look at each other like, you see this, right? It's not just me. No, really, there must be a mistake. And the social worker, who clearly knew a lot about science, says, I think it's like the pigment and melanin. It takes a while. It'll take a while. Just hold on. It's like that movie Big, where they go, you know, he goes to bed and wakes up big. Like, I'm not going to wake up looking like Halle Berry, as much as my husband would love this. So they take me home, and they're waiting, you know, they've been promised, and I am still very white. And they adopt me anyways and love me unconditionally, because that's the right thing to do, despite all of the false advertising they were given. So years pass, and they adopt again from South Korea, my sister, who's gorgeous. And my dad was a mechanical engineer for GM in Detroit. And so my mom would say, 2 domestic, 2 import, and 1 homemade. We actually had it knitted on a pillow for her because I live in Nashville. You know. Yeah. So I know it was a crazy winding road and that I am the accidental white baby adoption. Probably the first one ever. But I like to think in some way it was all just destined so that I would be with this family who did not give a shit if I was going to be half black. And whether or not it was on purpose that my birth mother said this, I don't care. I am so grateful for being in the family that I am. Thanks.